Happy Wednesday. Cheers to a happy hump day. I'm so excited to see everybody. And if you missed it, I'm really curious what time zone you're in. So if you haven't already dropped it in, I saw some 6 p.m. Savitri's drinking wine. We're not going to ask Kelly what she's having. Whether you're having coffee or wine or an undisclosed substance, maybe a smoothie in your glass, I'm just so happy that you're here and taking this time to learn with me today, because we have a lot to learn. We have an amazing entrepreneur and sales hacker and author and speaker, all the titles, all the things. If you haven't stalked him already, I will drop a link in the chat. Please stalk Max. We're getting right to the good stuff. We're not getting into like his whole story. So there's millions of podcasts that you can listen to where he goes into that. So we're just getting into the good stuff. Okay. Like I said, he's a successful CEO. He started, grew, scaled, and then sold his company. He's written not one, not two, but 3 books, and he built an email list that has over 170,000 humans on it. It's mind-blowing. We're going to learn how he does all of this. So please help me welcome my friend Max.
How's it going?
How are you?
Long-time listener, first-time caller here.
I missed you in Colorado by like 2 days, which made me so sad. Where do you find yourself today?
We're in Austin, Texas. Yeah.
Okay, well then I missed you there too.
You got to come down. Well, Jasper and Bryce are here. We got Will's here. We got the whole crew. Everybody's here.
It's a fun little community down there in Austin, Texas. Actually, let us know if you've been to Austin, Texas. I'm sure some of you guys have been. Obviously, you heard me just list off all of your many accomplishments, and you also got the memo to wear gray today. So I'm glad that we could be sort of matching. Look like a prom photo or something.
I left this room. I'm in an Airbnb. We haven't found a house yet, and we're in this little. This Airbnb is perfect. It's got a casita outside that has a little office in it for me. So it's been great. But I left it open last night. It was like 51 degrees out. So now it's freezing in here. So
now it's freezing. Well, do you have a warm cup of something to keep you warm?
I need one. I got a water. That's it.
Do you drink coffee or tea or caffeine?
I am caffeine free for 8 years now.
Okay. Well,
so I'm more like a juice with Kim.
You're a better person than me.
I'm a green juice with Kim, or like a tea with Kim. You know, I gotta step my game up though. I got a water here. I don't know. Too busy.
It's fine. It's good. Well, drink your water and get ready to dive in, because like I said, I made everybody Google stalk you beforehand.
Yeah.
I already know you, so that's already fine. But I'm curious, because when people Google stalk you, and I included your LinkedIn, the first thing they're going to see is a sentence on your about, which I think is so genius, that says, I spend almost 100% of my time working to help people make money and build exceptional careers.
Yeah.
That's a loaded sentence, my friend. What does that mean? Break that down for people.
My father was a financial advisor, and he was an entrepreneur, one-man shop, didn't work for any of the big guys. And he spent his entire career being basically a money therapist for people. So, being a financial advisor isn't just about, hey, here's what stocks you should get and let's grow your money, but you talk to people about their goals in life and how to get them to their outcomes, and and understanding how aggressive or risky to be versus, how to play it safe and things like that based on their goals. But you could really get to understand and know people over that amount of time. So I started off in my career helping people leverage technology in their sales process. That kind of became sales hacker, and then into just like helping salespeople in general in their careers and their organizations. And then I wrote career hacking. And it went to another place where it was like, wow, now I'm helping people more in their careers, in their jobs, but in their careers. Like, I want to help you make more money. And it was almost like tied to my history or my past based on what my father does, where it's like, wow, he helped people make more money in his way. I can help people make more money in their ways. And the interesting thing about money is money creates freedom, creates opportunities, creates, all sorts of things. So what you do with the money is what's inspiring to me. And I can tell people the story, oh, we helped this person make more money and therefore they were able to get their son the basketball shoes they always wanted so they can fit in with the rest of the basketball team, or take their kids to Disneyland and they've never been to Disney before, and the daughters always wanted to go see Elsa from Frozen, or allow them to support their parents in their retirement or pay medical bills or whatever it is. That freedom that provides is why I do it. That's so fun for me. And hearing those stories is fun. Hey, you helped me get a better job. You helped me get a raise. You helped me, close a deal. And what that creates down the line for them is what's really exciting.
And I love that because it sounds like you've been entrepreneurial from a very, that's like your ethos, right? Like that's your kind of inner meaning. Have you always sort of been this entrepreneurial spirit, or because I call myself an accidental entrepreneur in that, I thought I was going to work at a corporate job, did the 4 years of college, didn't run a lemonade stand like Gary Vee or anything. So I'm curious, are you more of the Gary Vee, I started a business when I was 5 years old, or more of me where it was I fell into this by accident?
Yeah, I am the meant to be here type. My dad likes to tell a story of how he got a phone call from the principal one day that I was caught selling my Halloween candy on the school bus. So all the other students had this money for school supplies that they'd get at the school store. And I would take my Halloween candy that was sitting on top of the refrigerator. My parents would be like, okay, after Halloween, you could pick one thing a day from it. But I would climb up on the counter, grab a handful, put it in my backpack, and sell it on the school bus. And there was a candy store down the block from me that I could ride my bike to and buy more, buy better candy or more candy. And so I was enterprising. And I was in elementary school at the time.
You were a salesman from a young age.
Yeah,
you were
exactly.
Kit Kat bars and mini Three Musketeers.
It was ingrained in me. Yeah.
Which for anybody who, is in the United States and we have Halloween coming up, I have a personal theory that I would like to share with you, which is if the candy can fit into your mouth in one bite, it doesn't really count as a candy bar. It's a bite that happens to be candy.
Science.
So
it's science.
Don't feel guilty about that.
Smart.
So with all of with your ethos of I want to help people make more money, and writing Career Hacker and the sales hacking process, what are you hoping that people, besides making more money, obviously, what are you hoping that people gain out of, your everyday? Is it really you're helping the people within your organization? Is it really that you're focused on helping people outside of your organization? Because again, for people that don't know, you started and sold a company, which means as part of that sale, you are now absorbed into the people that buy your company, basically. Yeah. So it's you're an entrepreneur, but now you're an employee, which is an interesting transition. So how has that been, and how do you spend your time?
It's been an interesting transition, and I have a lot of range. So I was an early investor in this company and knew the CEO. They ended up acquiring Outreach acquired Sales Hacker in 2018. They installed me as the VP of marketing. I ran all of marketing for a little over a year. Then we brought in a CMO. Now I kind of have a hybrid role between sales and marketing, which I find a lot of joy in, and I have kind of free reign to do the things that I want to do. I feel like an entrepreneur in my own, inside of my own business, or the CEO of my own, book, so to speak. And that's what we tell a lot of people in sales. You're a sales rep for a company, but you're also the CEO of your own territory. So what are you doing to get ahead? Are you creating your own collateral if you need it? Are you going out and A/B testing the messaging that you're using? What are you doing to take it to the next level? How are you going and building a rapport, delivering value for people in the sales process differently than what's just been given to you? And I think you have to take that initiative and take that leap. So I actually like showing people the entrepreneurial way, how to be an entrepreneurial salesperson. But when you ask, what am I doing besides for helping people make money? I mean, I think that's like the cruising altitude view of what we do. Like if you zoom out, but in the more like focused view, we help people get better at what they do. We want to talk to people with a growth mindset, and we want to help them get better at their craft. We want to help them learn the tricks of the trade, and whether the end goal is paying the bills or getting a bigger house or getting their son that pair of Jordans or taking the family to Disneyland or whatever it is, it usually comes back to people are in sales because they're somewhat coin operated. They like that they're in a role where they can make as much as hard as they work. If you're
and I'm curious because you touched on something that I think is so key that a lot of salespeople either flat out ignore, so there's that, or they just think it doesn't apply to them, and that's marketing. And you used it in the same sentence. And I think a lot of people in sales say, oh, well, I have a marketing team, or like I do sales and marketing is over there. And I think that that's very unique to you and maybe shared with other people at your company. But can you kind of dig into that? Because I think that when people hear sales and marketing in the same sentence, they think that that's not me or that's not my responsibility.
Yeah, well, as a salesperson, you're going to get what you're going to get. You're going to get what you get from marketing, and you don't have that. The only control you have over that is like which company you decide to work for. That's about it. I mean, you can provide feedback all you want, and maybe it'll work, and you'll get more collateral, you get better messaging, you'll get some more of what you feel you need. But you also have to be willing and able to go and do the work on your own. Like if you don't hear the message resonating, then tweak the messaging. If you don't have the collateral you need or customer stories you need or references you need, then go and get them. Become friends with the right people on the team that could give it directly to you without having to go through leadership channels, or go into your book of business. If you've been a rep at a company for 2 years, you've closed business before, go back to your customers and get customer stories and references from your customers that you've closed previously. So it's not enough to just say, okay, I'm gonna play within the confines of the rule book and I'm gonna do things, by the numbers here. No, this is your wallet. And that's why I love the profession.
Well, and I also think at the end of the day, we're all selling something. Like we're trying to get that date on Bumble. Like we're selling our profile as like, pick me, connect with me, or trying to make a friend in yoga class, or trying to get a job promotion, or to land business as part of like, again, an income stream. So we're all selling something. So I'm curious.
Sales is in everything we do.
You've worked in sales for so long. What do you think, or what's a sales skill that you think people are just lacking? Or that like, if they just have this, it would be so much better?
Knowing how to talk to strangers. It's funny because when you're like a kid, they're like, don't talk to strangers, but they should teach you as early as possible how to interact with strangers. Mm-hmm. Don't go hold hands with a stranger and go home with them if you're, a kid. Don't do that. But like, you should be able to talk to strangers. You should be able to diffuse situations. You should be able to understand how adults act. I was having a conversation with Bryce, actually, one of our mutual friends, who's CEO of a fairly large private software company, not software company, business process outsourcing organization. And we were talking about the value of school. And a lot of entrepreneurial people don't, like the people who are born to be an entrepreneur, don't get a lot of value out of things that are taught in school. They're not the most studious. They're not, I wouldn't call it like book smart, or they just don't learn that way. They learn by doing. That's why they're entrepreneurs. And the value that you get from school for us was social, but also understanding how to work the system and understanding how to work adults. So being in high school and being in college and understanding how to work the system and work with the authority, which was adults, was probably the most impactful thing on our careers, because we had to do that later on in order to get what we wanted as entrepreneurs, whether it was selling or raising money or whatever it is in the businesses. And a lot of times in these businesses, when you're creating something from scratch, there are a lot of things you need to do where you're asking for forgiveness later, not for permission up front.
Totally.
Yeah, like learning how to talk to adults, talk to strangers, open, build the confidence around that, I think is tops. It's the number one thing.
Well, and I love that not only did Raul agree with you here, but I think people have forgotten how to talk sometimes just in general. Like I would say an easy example is if you're standing in line at Chipotle with your mask on, instead of being buried in your phone, look up, like ask the person who's putting in your beans, like, how's your day going? I think sometimes we forget how to talk to people that we don't know.
Yeah. I don't know if you seem like the person who would, but there's like Tim Ferriss has his like 5 bullet points. I think it was from that he sends out. And I think it was Gabby Reese, who's a professional volleyball player, and one of her quotes was, "I always like to go first." So, if you're in line talking to the person that's taking your order, you're the first one to say hello. You're the first one. You don't wait for them to say hello when they're checking out your stuff. You say hello first. You engage first. I thought that was really fascinating. And I think that's something that I think like that's an entrepreneur thing or even a sales thing. That's like, yeah, be the one to go first in that situation. That's like how you build that muscle over time.
No, 100%. I'm curious what everybody else's biggest block is when it comes to sales, but I'll go first with mine. Lately, what it's been for me is I feel like in person, I like get energy and I'm like, yeah. And I'm like talking to people and I crush it. And it's been super tough to transition to virtual Zoom. A lot more is being done in inboxes. We're not getting together in person. So I'm curious for you, like not only how have you dealt with that, but just your personality. Are you more of a get me in front of someone, I love the face-to-face, or are you more of get me a algorithm that can send out 75,000 inbox emails?
Well, I don't think anybody should ever do the latter, but yeah, I'm a face-to-face person. I do work for a company that helps support sales email and sales calls, but obviously we are pro personalization and research and things like that before you reach out. Mm-hmm. I don't think the problem's ever the medium; it's the message more than the medium. But I am more of a face-to-face person. I love the camaraderie of sales. I love getting to see the smile, shake a hand, give a hug, whatever it is. My biggest problem is I'm an empath. So like, if somebody's having a bad day, I'm like, I'm having a bad day too. Like I feel for them. So I got to be able to, I have to do a better job of, being the bright, shiny person like you are, hey, how can I help? That the bubbliness is killer. And that wins over rooms, all the time. So that's a key trait to have.
Well, and I love, obviously, Jeff, I think had such a good question, which is pitch decks are ultimately also sales. You sold your company. How do you perfect those? How do you get somebody to say yes to a pitch deck or an idea that you have if you don't even have a pitch deck?
Yeah, so I think the pitch deck is only as good as the relationship that you have with the person before you send them the pitch deck. So if you need like a pretty long and robust pitch deck, you need to have a better relationship with them. So it's almost like a correlation chart. It's like the less of a relation, the longer the pitch deck, the better relationship you need to have with somebody. And I've seen this before where a company will raise money on one slide and it's just like a revenue chart. You don't need a strong relationship with an investor or somebody on the other side if your one slide pitch deck looks like this. Just like, yeah, we went from 0 in revenue to 5 million in 18 months. It's like, okay, here's my money. Like, that's amazing. You can tell me more later. But if it's somebody you don't have, you don't have a slide like that, you don't have a tight relationship, I think you need to earn the right for somebody to spend their time and look at your pitch deck. So like the people need to actually be bought in. You have to find a way to get them bought in and hooked in order to actually review the pitch deck material. So it's not something that's as easy as like, hey, I'm going to send a bunch of email blasts to people with the pitch deck in it. It's like, that's never going to work.
I'm also convinced, and maybe it's just my clients, but like they don't read. I love my clients, and if they're logged in, I'm really sorry for admitting that, but like they don't read. Like I will send beautiful presentations and decks and mocks, and then they'll call me and be like, "So can we talk about this?" And I'm like,
Yeah.
"I just sent it to you. Everything's in the deck," but like they don't read it. So then I just get on the call and explain everything that was already sent in the deck.
Yep.
Why?
I do a lot of the same stuff, and even internally too. If it's a conversation that needs to be had, it's like, let's find 30 minutes and talk through it. But if you send it to me in an email, like, then I'm just going to procrastinate on it. Because every time I open it, I'm going to be like, I don't have time for this. And then I close it and save it for later. And I open it, come back to it later. And I'm like, oh man, this is going to take me 15 minutes. I don't have 15 minutes right now. So I close it again. So if you can schedule or calendar out time for somebody to talk through it with somebody, that's always the best. I think pitch decks in general should always be talked through with the person the first time that they see it. So like you can send materials in advance and that's all well and good, but especially if it has pricing in it or anything that they're going to be doing as a lift, if you don't get a chance to talk through it while you're presenting it to them and they see it before that, you might be shot in the foot because they're going to look at it and be like, oh, that price, like I didn't want to waste my time with this person because I'm not going to pay that price. Meanwhile, if you could have been talking to them while they looked at that, they could have said, well, that price is too high for me. And you could have said, well, that's our list price.
Right.
You know, you're a VIP. We typically give less than that. And they're like, oh, okay, I'll keep having this conversation. So you don't want to lose them by giving away too much information without having that conversation.
No, I think we should never be afraid of the phone.
Yeah.
But I love these points that are being brought up about young people, because speaking of people being afraid of the phone, I don't want to millennial bash. I think we are technically millennials, but whatever. The point is, I see a lot of young people who will not answer their phones, but they will immediately text you back or email you back, but they won't pick up a phone call. And I'm curious, like, obviously you're a new father, so you're probably thinking about, raising a good human. How do we teach these young people to communicate better?
Yeah, well, we don't, she's 13 months, so she doesn't do screens until 2. So we don't watch TV around her. Like it's like no screens, because it's kind of like crack. A kid gets some screen time, and then when you take it away, they freak out. Like anything you give to someone, and when you take it away, they freak out, is probably not a good thing, right? It's addicting. I think there's 2 ways to look at this. One is, I think everybody should understand how to do a basic level of public speaking. Everybody should be, social, in person, whatnot. But at the end of the day, like, these are trends that are happening. Technology is moving so fast. When the phone was invented, people weren't like, oh my God, we're never going to meet face to face again, because now the phone exists. But the phone becomes a channel that people use in sales. And if you don't get with the times, then you're the odd man out. Like, imagine the salesperson who said, you know what, I'm not going to use the phone. I don't need the phone. And everybody else in their space used the phone. They'd be screwed, because they'd be able to get to an 8-block radius every day. And the person with the phone can call anybody in the world. So their TAM is just opened up, and they can do a lot more business. I think being on the channels where the decision maker is crucial. And millennials are native to texting, because texting was invented when they were, in high school or middle school, whatever. They're native to Facebook. They're becoming native to some of these other channels. And when they are decision makers at companies in the next 5, 10, 15 years, they're going to expect people to be able to have conversations with them where they are on those channels. And that'll always continue to morph and grow over time. And sure, people, are still going to meet and probably do business face to face, although COVID accelerated that timeline pretty drastically to say that, maybe not. Maybe people will be native and used to doing business on Zoom, that they won't need to do that anymore. And I think if you're the type of person who's like, yeah, we're going to go to the club, have steaks and scotch, play around a golf, and that's how we get business done, and we're going to do conferences in tweed jackets with elbow pads in hotel ballrooms, like, that's phasing out. People don't want to do that anymore. Like, the
sadly, I love a good tweed jacket.
Yeah,
just
exactly.
Reference.
There you go. Some elbow pads, some elbow pads on there. Yeah. I mean, it's phasing out. And the people that are decision makers, are turning into the next generations as they normally would, which have their own buying habits and socialization habits. So it'll be interesting to see because I think previous generations technology didn't move as fast, so the changes weren't as drastic.
Totally. It sounds like as a futurist, you're really pushing into obviously like new technology, whether that's AI or whether that's some of these social media platforms. So I'm curious, obviously you as a person are also wanting to stay up to date. Are you on TikTok? Are you on these platforms? Are you seeing that as the future of sales, whether you're trying to sell a product or you're trying to sell a service? What's your take on that?
Pre-recorded video is definitely in right now, and there are some people that really like that. I'm not on TikTok, but could it be a channel at some point where people do business? Certainly. Will I miss the boat on that? Maybe. Hopefully I'll be retired by then. I don't know. But I can't see myself ever really getting into TikTok. But you definitely see some of these trends popping up and catching on.
What are the pre-recorded videos? What do you mean by that?
Pre-recorded videos? Oh, so like I can get on a Loom or what are some of the other ones there, like Vidboard or Drift or whatever, and you can get on and record. Hey, Samantha, Max here from Outreach. Just wanted to tell you about this event that we have coming up and shoot you.
Do you do those?
Do I personally? Yeah. I don't, but our reps do. We were selling the TikTok. We have this great TikTok video we did for TikTok.
Okay.
That was a cool one. Yeah.
That's pretty fun.
Yeah.
Okay. So what do you think? Okay. So I feel like it's part of like pushing into new things. I also think it's hard for people if they're in corporate environments, because so much of corporate is, you're in this box and this is the box that you live in. But I heard you on a podcast recently talking about creativity and direct mail and sending things maybe to project managers instead of SVPs or VPs and really sort of getting creative with that process. Do you think that it's something that anyone can do, or do you think being in a corporate place is just hard to kind of flex those creativity muscles?
It should be something anyone can do. I'm sure there'll always be restrictions about what can be said, what can be sent, all that kind of stuff. But, figure out where those lines are. Also figure out how hard those lines are. I think as you hit your number, you earn the right to maybe bend the rules a little bit more than maybe somebody who's newer and hasn't proved themselves yet. But you definitely want to get outside the box. Like if you keep doing the same thing, over and over again, and it's not working, like I'm pretty sure that's a definition of insanity, right? Or something like that. So it doesn't seem like that's going to get you anywhere. And if you're working for, it's tough to say this in this economy where people are losing jobs, but if you're working for an organization like that, where they just say, hey, do this like robotic thing, monotonous thing, don't flex any creativity, don't be human or personalize or whatever, you're in your sales process, like, I don't know, maybe time to look for something else, something that you can, the easiest way to be good at sales is to be passionate about what you're selling and who you're working for. So,
and you're the CEO of you. So you got to make sure that the you company is doing well.
Yeah. And you got to eat too. You're getting paid variable comp. So if they say, oh, come in here, we're going to give you $200,000 on target earnings. It's $100,000 base and $100,000 in commission or bonuses or however it's structured. And they're telling you to do a bunch of stuff that isn't working. Guess what? You're not going to make that other 100. So your on target earnings is really only 100K. So, take that into consideration when you're getting the job. Talk to other reps, talk to leadership, things like that about what you can and can't do, and how many. And don't just take their word for what on target earnings is, your OTE. Ask them how many reps have hit quota, or how many reps are hitting quota. And then they'll tell you, oh, well, 60% of our reps hit quota last year. So, okay. So OTE, only 60% of your workforce got that. Everybody else made less.
Well, it just shows you the importance of asking questions.
Yeah.
I'm all about like peppering people with questions. I'm like that annoying nosy friend who's like, well, I have 75 questions. So sit down and get ready to answer them. Speaking of which, I have a few that, because we're live, you cannot squirm out of. So yeah, take a sip of water, because I basically just want to copy your homework on this. Okay. I don't want to do the homework myself. I don't want to do the research. It's just like middle school days. Give me your piece of paper. I'm copying your math problems. I never did that, for record, but I can now as an adult, which is, okay, you've started, you've scaled, you've sold a company. What is the biggest lesson there, or what would you do differently that you're like, I wish I had a time machine, do not do this?
Oh man.
Because there's always at least one.
I was going to say, how long do you have? I mean, I got a laundry list of things I messed up as an entrepreneur. And I was a young kid. So I started a business like accidentally. Sales Hacker started accidentally. Didn't mean to start a company. Ran a conference on a topic that people seemed to have a lot of interest in, and conference did really well. That turned into a business, which turned into a lot of other things. I didn't really have the experience to understand how to build a strategy long term. I didn't have the discipline or maturity to understand how to save money and live within my means and things like that. So I didn't reinvest in the business the way I could have. Now, I have no regrets. I sold the company.
Of course.
We're multiplying the valuation still because we did a mostly stock deal, and I'll be fine. Financially, it's all good. But I was a young kid in his 20s, and I was in this like place where like, wow, I finally started making money for the first time in my life. Like, I'm going to go do some fun things. And I had a blast for 5 years, but I could have reinvested that money into the business and probably built a bigger business in a shorter amount of time. So what would I have done differently? Probably nothing. I'm here where I am today and it all worked out. But looking at it from a, purely just how could I build a better business standpoint? Yeah, I could have reinvested more into the business. I think.
Well, and I'm also all about reinvesting in yourself. Like, if I could pay $100 to get 6 months of learning, I'm like, best $100 I ever spent.
Yeah, I should have done more of that, in hindsight. And I was just like, I'm going to go travel instead. I'm going to go to Bali for a month, all that kind of stuff. Which was also a blast. But I probably could have done a better job there. One of the bigger learnings also is I came to this point in the business where we pivoted from in-person events to almost like fully online because we saw the walls closing in on in-person events. Every software company raised so much money that now they started doing customer conferences, and we were competing with companies who could lose $1 million on their conference when we needed to make money to like keep ourselves in business. It's really hard to be in business on anything when your competitors can lose money and you can't. So we pivoted the business to digital, which was great. Our key learning, which was pointed out to me by kind of a mentor of mine, Jason Lemkin, who had started EchoSign and sold them to Adobe. And we ran his SaaStr annual conference for a little bit. But he said, just grow. And because I came to him and I said, I don't really know where we're going from here. And he said, just grow. How many subscribers are you at now? He said, 20,000. He's like, what would you do if you got to 100,000? He's like, well, then I have a lot of options. It's like, just get to 100,000 and figure it out then. So we hired an SEO guy, doubled down on content, and we got to 80,000 before we got acquired. Now we're at 175,000 subscribers. And he was right. You can spin up any business line you want if you've got enough people, in your database.
Smart people.
Yeah.
Like really hiring. I always use this example, but I'll keep using it, like the Avengers, right? Mm-hmm. There's Captain America, there's Black Panther, and everybody has like their little specialty. So it's like, who are your Avengers?
Yeah.
Like, where's your Wonder Woman?
We hired an incredible content person out of a software company in India, and she spoke fluent English, and she was $2K a month instead of $10K a month. So like for a company like ours, that was a crazy hack. Well, I went and scoured all the software companies in
Like
India.
on LinkedIn?
Yeah. So there are a couple software companies out of like India and third world countries that are thriving, that have really talented people, but they don't need to make like $2K for hers palatial living in her city versus, here. So they don't need to make as much money. And so you can go find, companies in Brazil, or you can go find companies in India or whatnot. She worked our hours. I have a virtual assistant team in the Philippines. That's the same thing. I mean, I have one of my VAs who's been with me since Udemy, so almost 10 years now. And I went to the Philippines and took her and her number 2 out to dinner, who's been the other number 2's been with me for 5 years now, I think. And it was really cool. It was the first time I met her. Yeah. But
how did you originally find her? Like that, I feel like is the question that I'm always curious about. And I know I'm sure other people are as well. Like you hear these stories where like, oh, Max, like that sounds amazing. Like I want that. And then I get done with these calls and I'm like, where do I even start?
Yeah.
Like, how do I even do that?
Well, sometimes it's being opportunistic, and sometimes it's going out and hunting. So Alina, who is the one from India, I found through going through the similar titled people from the Indian software companies, and then just reaching out to them on LinkedIn. Joanne, who's my VA in the Philippines, I found because she worked for me at Udemy through TaskUs, through Bryson Jasper's company. She didn't get a promotion that she wanted, so she ended up leaving to go find contract work. And so Udemy couldn't hire her directly because she came through a third party. And so it was like a perfect situation for me because I was able to hire her because she had left TaskUs. Udemy couldn't hire her. I could. So it worked out really well. And I sent it in the Philippines, they like become Facebook friends with everybody. It's like they're very social media, social networking oriented. And so we were friends on Facebook from when we worked together. And we had like this gap year where maybe a year and a half that we like kept in touch, but we weren't working together. And then as soon as I found out, I was actually out to beers with some Udemy alumni. And as soon as I found out, I sent her a Facebook message. I was like, hey, what do you need to work? And she gave me like a price range. And I was like, okay, you got the highest end. You start on Monday. And she was like, oh my God, thank you. Yeah, let's do it. So,
oh my God, I love serendipity is so much of business as well. Like I hate when people say, oh, I was just smart. I'm like, it was luck. It's also just like good timing and like flat out luck. So
there's
it's like,
tons of luck.
Let's chalk it up to luck when it's.
You have to be opportunistic. You have to like be open for luck. So you have to be out there. I think it was like a tweet that I read or something like that. But it was like when you put yourself out there, you open up the surface area for like luck to find you. So if you're not taking risks and opportunities and things like that, like it's very hard to get lucky. If you're doing a lot of, if you're out there doing those things, it's a lot easier to get lucky. So we found an amazing SEO guy who came in and helped transform the business to digital. This guy Gaetano, who's over at Nextiva now. And everybody who had come to work for Sales Hacker, it's crazy. We created like a little Sales Hacker mafia, but like I always took these diamond in a rough, but like we're super rough. And then they worked for me for like a year and a half, 2 years. And then they got like a job getting paid 3x what they were making at the previous job. And, a crazy title and this bump and everything like that, because their work was so visible working at a media company like us. So that was pretty cool. And then I keep what I call an IMF list, which, is Mission Impossible, Impossible Mission Force is their whole group, but it stands for me, impressive mother, like the word. And that's my list because it's got the dual meaning. It's fun.
Yeah.
But that's my list of people I've worked with in the past that I would like try and hire opportunistically again on the next thing that I do. So it's like, keep that list at all times.
I would love to just steal that list from you.
Yeah, a lot of people.
Very valuable lists
it is.
You have going.
Yeah.
Okay, wait. I have another question that I want to copy you on. Also, if anybody else has questions, Max can help answer. Drop them in. But I'm also curious because something that people I think kind of look over because you have so many accolades are the fact that at one point you had 170,000 subscribers.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
Okay. Like, I don't think people really realize, I think I have maybe 1,000 people on like my personal newsletter list. So I'm curious, like, what would you tell me who has 1,000 who wants to one day get to 170,000? Like, how did you hack that? Where do I start?
Content, keep bringing on awesome guests, and SEO was a big propeller for us. So we went from like 20,000 to 80,000 super quick when we really like doubled down on SEO. And I think I can find the charts out there somewhere, but I'm sure there's a blog post on it. And then
when you say SEO, is that like finding Todd, and Todd's really smart at SEO, so Todd like optimizes, or like, what does that mean?
Yeah, I mean, if you don't know anything about SEO, go find an awesome SEO person, hire them. For us, it was, taking a look at what are the keywords that we want to be known for? Like when people search the internet and we want to come up first, like what are they searching for? And then working backwards from that. So for sales hacker, it might have been how to close a deal might be like, okay, something like, or like sales development or building a sales team. Those are things that we want to come up for first. So what does content look like that we need to have in that place? And then what are the things that we need to have in that content? So first of all, we need pillar content that's structured a certain way for, Google or crawlers to find it. Then we need backlinks from other companies to link to that content. So we can trade things or barter or whatever with other organizations that might have strong domain authority, and they'll backlink to us, and then that grows our reach, et cetera, et cetera. So it was a technical process, but that kind of blew us up pretty quickly. And just create a ton of content. Have a newsletter, incentivize people for referrals, things like that.
And when you started, like, were you sort of, okay, I'm going to start small, like one new blog a week, and then by the end you were at like 10 blogs a week, or was it how did you get from A to B?
No, we only ever did four posts a week, and it's all community sourced content. And we have a team of ghostwriters who will help me create content. So like they'll do the structure, the bones of like what it should look like when it's optimized for SEO. But then I'll come in and tweak, edit, write a lot of the content that needs to be in there. I mean, it also helps that I wrote 3 books, and I can write very quickly and very easily. So like I can do a lot of content on my own, and then we can have the team SEO it. But I saw this question: is it worth paying for SEO hacking? I would hire a full-time SEO person. SEO firms are overpriced, and they I don't know. I haven't had good experiences with SEO firms. I don't know a lot of really good ones.
Ooh, good. See, this is what we need, because that saves the whole step. It's like, boom, won't even consider that now.
Yeah.
It's like, thanks for saving me thousands of dollars.
Yeah, I mean, once you we also still send the sales hacker emails. When somebody signs up, it's like a video from me or like a welcome from me, which is cool. But it's been funny. We just went on a road trip from Seattle through Idaho, Montana, Wyoming, Utah, Colorado, Arizona to Austin. We were on a hike in Idaho, and somebody's like, Max. And I turn around, he's like, hi, I'm the VP of sales at, Move It or something like that. I recognized you from the sales hacker emails. And then we were in like a restaurant, Sedona, and somebody came over to the table, and we ran into somebody in Jackson Hole in a store, like getting a shirt for my dad. It was like, I think there was one more. Yeah, we were on a.
Wow, so there's like a lot of power, it sounds like, in video.
There were 4 people on this trip. I remember I was with my whole family for Thanksgiving in Florida once in Boca, and somebody came out of the pool and walked over to our family. I was like, hey, you're Max. I have your book, all the stuff. So when you get to like
what video service do you use, or like what does that video service run on?
Well, it's just like an embedded video in the welcome email that is that says, hey, I'm Max. I'm the founder of Sales Hacker, and here's what you're going to get out of being a subscriber. It's so glad to have you here. But that plus the book and a bunch of other stuff, I guess, when you get up into like the hundreds of thousands of subscribers and stuff, you actually end up seeing people in the wild.
Right.
Pretty cool.
I love this question. It kind of filters into the question Anthony just asked, which is your call to action. Like at the end of your books or at the end of the video saying like, hi, I'm Max, you know, is there a call to action to subscribe, or is it separate in a funnel?
Well, the videos are in the subscriber email. So that's like when you subscribe, you see the video. So like when you're a new member already, you just want to make sure your site has CTAs in it. So you wouldn't put it in the content, but you might have like you might use Sumo and have like a pop-up, or I think it's called like Opt-in Monster, Opt-in Ninja.
Yes, Opt-in Monster.
Yeah, Opt-in Monster. There's another one, Ninja something anyway, but like Ninja Forms or something like that. But it's a pop-up that happens after somebody, you know, is on the page for 3 seconds or 5 seconds that you can set the timer for. And it's like, you want the special offer, put in your email. And then there's also a hovering, you know, sidebar that has like subscribe for, you know, special updates, things like that. And then you can run other programs like virtual events and webinars and things like that, where if they subscribe to that, then they subscribe to the newsletter. So that's pretty cool. We just launched coldemailgrader.com.
Wait, what's it called?
It's called coldemailgrader.com, and it grades your cold emails that you would send for sales prospecting. And so that's like another initiative where somebody fills that out, signs up, you hit the radio button that says like, you know, opt me in for the newsletter, and then subscribe to that. So
I feel like these are helpful because if you are, as Jen points out, like a one-woman show, it sounds like these apps or resources are kind of like the way to go. Or no, would you suggest something else?
Best thing you could do if you're a one-woman show is go on Udemy and learn as much as you can about SEO and those types of the SEO, paid acquisition, video, pop-ups, all that kind of stuff. You can take courses on this stuff that is usually. Okay,
it's interesting you say that, because I feel like my whole theory is don't waste your time learning it and like hire someone who knows it. No,
depends how much money and time you have. You know, if you're a one man band, one woman band, you know, maybe you've got the income coming in where you can afford to do that. But you know, there's always start from somewhere. Start from somewhere is learn it yourself. You don't have to, I wouldn't go and try and be an expert. You want to be a jack of all trades, Jack and Jill of all trades. So you can go and learn as much as you can about these topics, but then like move on to the next one, get your site to, you know, from 0 to 20% of the way there. Now you got some money coming in. Now go decide, okay, which one of these do you want to get off your plate first based on, you know, oh, I'm bad at this. It's hard to learn for me. And, you know, it's going to have the highest impact. You can create a rubric on that and align and then pick which ones you're going to go higher for.
And you mentioned Udemy. I'm curious, like if someone was thinking, okay, I want to learn more about sales, or I want to learn more about B2B sales, you know, where is that a good place for them to go learn? Would you suggest another place? Like where is learning best done for sales?
For sales, different. I mean, if you're an entrepreneur and you're trying to build a business, then Udemy's got a lot of great courses on those types of things like SEO, paid acquisition, you know, website building, all that kind of stuff. Things that you'll probably want to outsource eventually, but might not be able to afford in the very beginning. Sales courses,
or just like learning. Like, is there a newsletter? Is there someone you follow on Twitter that you're like, oh, he's always posting good? Like,
yeah, I mean, so Outreach and Sales Hacker is where you go to learn as much as you possibly. Sales Hacker is like the leading resource for all things edutainment, you know, B2B sales. So like, you can probably
everyone should subscribe to that.
Yeah, exactly. We made it to be the living and breathing sales encyclopedia. So that would be the first place I'd go. And then you can look up, you know, the contributors and authors and follow them on LinkedIn and see what they're writing and saying. And
you post a lot on LinkedIn.
I post a lot.
Very helpful.
I do.
Do you write all those, or is there?
I never outsource or plan content. So I write everything. And
where's a social media manager somewhere that's cursing you?
It's like natural for me. I mean, I'm a writer, right? So like, and I never was a writer growing up, but like all of a sudden I can write books and stuff, and you know, it's weird, but
it's weird.
It is weird. If you were to ask Miss Schmidt, if she's still alive, bless her soul, if you were to ask her, oh, hey, Max Altschuler wrote 3 books published by Wiley, blah, 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 she'd be like, what?
What?
I used to show up like 20 minutes out of a 40-minute class late to her English class with like a bacon, egg, and cheese. I had her like 2 years in a row, like first or second period. I'd like go out, get a bagel, whatever, show up middle of the class. I was a terrible student.
Well, you did all right.
Yeah, I'm doing okay.
You're providing hope to everybody else who has terrible student genes in them.
Yeah, somebody was like, well, what are you trying to do with like the career hacking book? I was like, I'm the ASU Tim Ferriss. Like, exactly. Everybody that doesn't have a Princeton education,
there we go.
To be done. That's why I wrote the book.
Okay, I'm getting to the bottom of my tea, which means we're at speed round questions. Very fun. What is one, like, what have you started using lately that you love? Whether it's an app or a Peloton or.
Love my Peloton, although waiting for it to get to Austin. What have I started using lately? I've been using this thing called New Calm, but it's kind of pricey, but it's like meditation that's enhanced by you put this little disc, you stick it on your arm right here on like this pressure point or whatever it is, and then you listen to this track, and it puts you in like I don't know the science behind it. A friend turned me on to it, but it kind of like puts you into a state of like meditation or Zen. That's like really nice. Yeah.
I like it. It sounds almost like scientific. Like
it is. There's
reading your mind.
I won't do it justice if I try to talk about it, but
yeah, it's like go on the website and get the description.
Yeah, exactly.
Max is not a salesperson for this.
I am not.
Clearly.
There are certain areas in my life where I have friends who are like hardcore on something. And so when they recommend it, I'm like, I'm good. Like, I'm in. It's like, this is one of those things where like these people who spend all their waking hours focused on this type of stuff are like, hey, try this. And I'm like, oh, that's
what we're doing here. See, like you're my friend who with sales. So I'm like, I'm just going to copy everything you say. Thank you.
I got investment friends like that are just like, I found this fun. Check it out. It's like, sure, here.
That's this whole thing. I bring on those friends and then we just cheat off you. So
perfect.
Thanks for letting us cheat off your paper.
You should change the name from Coffee with Kim to just like.
I should.
Yeah. Cheating off of people who figured it out.
Mm-hmm.
Cheating with Kim. I actually think that'll get a lot more
subscribers. With Kim.
I just don't know if they're going to be the right subscribers.
I kind of like it.
You're going to get a lot of the Real Housewives crowd.
Right.
Yeah.
But maybe that's fun. Maybe it's like drama.
It's got to be sassy.
We can just do sassy on here. No problem.
Sass with Kim, but now we're talking software or Real Housewives. I'm not really sure.
That's an offshoot. That's a joint venture. I'll call you for that.
I like it.
You can build me on a SaaS AI outreach platform.
Yeah. We could be like the Regis and Katie. Who did you do?
Regis and Kelly.
Regis and Kelly.
And he died. R.I.P.
Regis did?
Yes.
When?
Yeah, 2020. They're taking everybody good.
Oh, man.
If somebody's good in 2020, they're going out. So appreciate people while you have them,
Yeah.
Especially people like Regis. Okay, what's one thing you need more of in your life right now?
Oh, time. But that's probably everybody's answer. I have a 13-month-old. So like,
I'm surprised the answer is not sleep.
Anything, it's that. I mean, it's really anything that fits in the bucket that isn't work or baby related. I need time to do that. We just got to a new city after a road trip, so like we haven't had routine or nanny or school services, so it's just been us on 24/7. So hopefully that'll come back. But yeah, I need some silence, some sanity, some alone time, all those types of things. I'm also, I would love for this COVID stuff to go away, so social interaction, I'd say is a need as well.
Okay, what is your secret to dividing time between work and family? Because to me, you're like a passionate worker, but then you're also passionate about your family. So.
Oh, the secret is just burn out. Don't get enough sleep. Do both to an extreme amount.
That's the secret.
Yeah, there's no secret. It's not easy. It is. There's no. Yeah. Your social media stuff is different from what's actually real happening in life, but we're pretty honest on there. We don't post all flowers and roses and stuff.
The real stuff.
Yeah.
The real stuff. Okay, what's the best gift? The best gift you've given yourself this year? Could be a physical gift, or could be like I paid for a learning course at online at Harvard or something, or the best thing that you've kind of done for you as a human?
What's the best gift? I mean, we took a 2.5 month road trip just now, which was a gift.
A big gift.
Which was pretty cool. We saw the timing was right with everybody being remote. We don't know when that's going to happen again. The kid was young enough to do well in the car and not really walking yet, and that was pretty incredible. We got to see Glacier National Park, Yellowstone National Park, Grand Tetons, Moab, Bryson, Zion, Canyons, Aspen, Telluride, Park City, Coeur d'Alene, Idaho.
So nice.
So that was a gift. That was pretty incredible. And we had great weather and didn't bang the car up too bad, and had it worked out fairly well.
Okay, you just named like 5 things that are on my must-do list, so I'll get around to them at one point or another.
And Bryson, Zion, I think were our favorites.
I'm gonna get there.
In Gateway, Colorado, hidden gem.
Gateway, Colorado.
Yeah.
Who would have known? Okay. Last thing, I want you to give us some homework, which is, what is one thing that we should all try this week? Whether that's a breathing exercise, whether that's a podcast to listen to, a food, a TV show, I don't know. But what's one thing we should all of us collectively on here should try this week?
Yeah, it's in the career hacking book, but it's something I would suggest everyone is have an attitude of gratitude. So wake up every morning before you get out of bed, stare at the ceiling or stay in the pitch black, or before you touch your phone, before you do anything, and just start naming at least 10 things that you're grateful for. And if you start your day off like that, you always start your day off in like a happy, empathetic place. And it's such a grounding place to be, because like no matter what happens the rest of that day, you have those 10 things and you recognized it. And so I thought like that was probably one of the best things I started doing. And it's come in handy in and out of in my life, in tougher times, you do it and you're like, wow, things are really good. They're not as bad as you thought they were. And in good times, it's just good to clarify.
I feel like that's really good. And I will start the challenge tomorrow. I will post on LinkedIn something that I'm grateful for. I'll start off my attitude of gratitude when it comes to my career. I will tag Max. If anyone else would like to do this with me, tag Max, tag me, so we can all have start tomorrow with or anytime this week, actually. It doesn't have to be tomorrow, but our attitude of gratitude. I love that.
Hell yeah.
Done and done. Well, Max, thank you so much for today. I feel like this was so helpful. Where can people keep learning from you, access you, learn about the books, all the things?
Yeah, jump on Sales Hacker. That's a great place to learn about all things sales. LinkedIn is where I probably post the most, so check me out there. Books are on Amazon. You can find them on Amazon. And I want to try and do a second sales engagement book coming out sometime soon. I'm going to try. And I'd like to do another career hacking one after my run at Outreach, so a couple of years, but it'll be good to see a more robust version of that too. So I'll keep writing.
Right. We heard it here first. More books to come. I love it. Well, thank you so much, Max. You are such a gem. We appreciate your time, and we're excited to keep learning from you on all these different channels.
Thanks, Kim. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, cheers, my dear.
Got my water.
Bye, guys.